and I'm going to keep an eye on the waiting room and let people in as they come in. But welcome Wednesday afternoon. Here we are, another live edition of the Inspired Cell Incubator class. And today we are going to spend a good bit of time in the tablet. I don't consider this an in-depth tablet training. I do consider it more of an overview of some of the things that the tablet can do. So if you have your tablet close by, don't worry about logging into it yet. We'll get to that soon enough. But this is just sort of a preemptive, yes, we will eventually get to the tablet today. So where I'd like for us to start with, I would love to hear from you what your biggest learning moment was from the last week. Now, for some of you, that learning moment came in a ride-along. You were with a franchise owner, you were with another design associate, and you did a ride-along with somebody, and you really learned a lot. And I'd love for you to share that experience with the rest of the team. For some others, that big takeaway was maybe in something that we did in class last week, or maybe it was something that you picked up in the online learning platform. So that could be as well. Or it might be that your big learning from the last week was in a secret shop, was in a competitive shop, and this is what that experience looked like. Now we've got a lot of people on the call, so we can't take a ton of time for each one. So we're going to kind of keep it condensed. But I do want, the reason that I do this is because you guys learn from each other as well. So what was your biggest takeaway from the last week? And Dylan, because you happen to be top left on my screen, you get to kick us off.
Okay. So my one came from a shadow. We had an appointment for hand scraped hardwood, which was, it was tricky because the entry foyer was an epoxy concrete, and they wanted to replace that, add to the flooring that would transition seamlessly into their current flooring. It was a beautiful, very large home with beautiful hand scraped hardwood, but the hardwood was about 4 to 5 years old. And the color variation was extremely dramatic. So it was very hard to differentiate if it was red or white oak. And more importantly, setting the customer expectations properly. Janelle, who was running the appointment, was trying to be very thorough in explaining that we can, transition into this new hardwood, but the chances of it matching perfectly are going to be problematic because this is 4 to 5 years of foot traffic, UV staining. There's a lot of issues when it comes to stitching those boards in. So that one was a large one for me, a lot to learn because it was hard to come up with the perfect solution. And there's a lot of information you might not get from the training that you kind of need to get hands-on. And that,
nice.
Transitioning from current wood to new wood is going to be difficult to get the perfect match, not just for finding the species of the wood, which fortunately they did have some planks set aside that we took back for testing, because we do believe it's a mixture of red and white oak, which makes it even more of a head scratcher. But that was a big learning curve for me this last week.
Nice. I love it. A good solid technical learn. I like it. Wendy and Courtney, how about you guys?
Good morning, all. I would say for me, kind of from doing this, working still and kind of doing makeup on it, that just going through the estimates and on the tablet and drawing up a room and everything is almost foolproof. It's made so simply that, even the guy who builds airplanes can do
it. Wendy, how about you?
It's been a busy week for me. I'm trying to think specifically with sales. Definitely, I think probably the biggest learning for me is for us to try to figure out how we can do some ride-alongs in January. Just watching the mock ones, I think seeing something in action and finding someone who's really good close by who can hook us up with like their best DA is going to be really important.
Nice.
Yeah, we're about
nice.
3 hours or 2 hours to 3 hours away from any other FCI company. So
there's one
just
up north active there.
Sure. Hey, another option for you, if you haven't already booked flights and whatever, when you're coming to Atlanta for your TSA, even if you booked a flight a couple of days earlier and did ride-alongs with people in Atlanta. So, there's another way to do it.
Awesome.
Good call.
Good. Jason,
I think my biggest learning moment was just a little bit ago with the competitive analysis that we did. They really just came into the house, brought just a couple samples, didn't really act like there was any options other than what he had. He wanted me to go buy the stain for the baseboards because he didn't want to get involved in it. Just really, after I finally decided on something, he started writing out an estimate. I said, "Oh, so is this just the quote that you're leaving with me?" And he, "Oh, no, why aren't you signing now?" He was shocked. I said, "Well, I told you my wife's not home." "Oh, you could, that's fine. You have 3 days to cancel if you, and then he started going on about how far he drove, how small of a job it was. He didn't want to come back just for a signature. Um, it was crazy. So yeah,
Yeah, and
that was
at some
eye-opening.
point, you scratched your head and said, if I can't beat this guy in the market, I don't need to be doing this.
Right. Well, and he did have to drive far. So the only people that actually do the at-home service, the come to you like we do, they're up in Cleveland, so they are an hour plus away from me. So it was a good drive. I give him that, but yeah, it was a little shocking to say the least. Low effort, I feel
Nice.
like.
Nice. All right, Zuri, big learning for you in the last week.
It was as well, I cannot do ride-alongs or mystery shoppers because I'm here in Mexico still, but playing with the tablet, and it's quite simple. I really like it, and it's very like logical to go from a lead to a customer to a project to an option. It's very like straightforward, and I'm starting to like it.
Good.
It's easy.
Good. All right, Isaac.
I enjoyed our mock interviews, sales calls, if you will, on the training last week. They matched along with what I've seen in ride-alongs. And then to second what you were saying, I've seen 3 different franchises, and I travel usually 3 hours or more each way, and one time spent overnight. But every time that I went, in each franchise, he was able to teach me something new on whatever ride-alongs I went on. So I highly recommend it if you have time between them. They were all very gracious.
Nice. Nice. Let's see. How about John Suarez?
My biggest learning curve this week was how technical measuring for a staircase can really be. Making sure that if let's say, for example, if the customer is interested in treads, how particular your measurements need to be, because one small mistake could throw the job. So that, I think, to me, was the biggest takeaway.
Okay. All right. Now we'll go to Jonathan Hernandez.
Okay, so I guess what I learned this week was a combination of the ride-alongs and then doing some training on the tablet. And Leo had some kind of floor plans for us, but basically it was using the warm-up call and the measure to set you up for what you're going to provide and make sure you have those options in mind, understanding what you can do to solve their issue. So it was
Nice.
setting up for the sale, and then all that goes into it, whether it be upselling baseboards or product, and then giving something basic that will solve their need. So that's what we worked on here.
Nice. Nice. Denise.
So I worked previously for one of our competitors. And so, it's really neat for me to be involved with the franchise owner on the ride-alongs to see more of how the process works. With the other companies that I've worked for, everything was so idiot-proof that it was basically just get a measurement and plug some numbers in and some things. So what I'm really enjoying is learning how to project manage it, exactly when you need the extra plywood, or how to configure for the cuts on the carpets. So a lot of that's more about actually, I guess, the back end of it has really been so enjoyable to me. I love understanding why we do what we do and how we make it work for customers. So it's been phenomenal.
Nice, nice. I love it. Let's see. How about Josefina?
Hi, I think that the most important thing it was about writing a proposal, you know, and all about the tablet and the measures and all that thing. That was for me the most important thing that I
Okay.
learned.
All right, good. Robbie.
Oh gosh, couple things. Well, just one about establishing the price gaps, you know, from your PG 1, 2, and 3 products, and then how you can pivot off that, possibly if you need to, you know, take out some labor slash freight, you know, that type of stuff. But then we had, you know, some runners on stairs that were interesting, the way the client wanted it, going up 7 or 8 steps, then turning on a landing, 2 landings, and then he wanted the same pattern, you know, which was, and he was looking at a patterned carpet. So I mean, it was interesting. And then sometimes just the additional things that you need to do in regards to, you know, if you need to find a certain tone of a Brazilian cherry wood, and then you're wanting to get the customer had a job where if he could find something that matched his existing Brazilian, it was a $6,000 job. Otherwise, he'd have to replace his whole floor, which was 25,000. And I mean, the Brazilian he had was a 5/16, which it was just, you know, so it was interesting to just see all the different elements that can, you got to kind of juggle.
Nice, nice. Chris.
Yeah, I was leaning towards the same thing Zuri said, you know, messing around with the tablet and doing the estimating on tablet as well as the Salesforce and syncing the two back and forth to each other. So that's my big learn for the week.
Okay. Renee?
I have a few things, but I wanted to point out what really stood out to me was in one of the trainings, it talked about our behavior outside the work area. And I actually went into a customer's home who got recommended by us by 2 different real estate. So this wasn't even anyone she knew, but it was just a word of mouth by how we did business. And that was a huge walk away for me last week.
Nice, nice. How about Sandra?
Hi, good morning, everyone. I had a chance to do the Secret Shopper with Empire, and I chose a property that my boyfriend wanted to buy. He's in real estate, and so you know, there's always property that you know we could buy and fix up. So I wanted to give them a project where you know it's not easy, right? Most customers home you go to, it's not that complex. So with this one, it's like I told them, you know, I scheduled appointment online, and they gave me a window between 1 and 3. So off the bat, that's already different than FCI, which is with us is we tell the customer exactly when we're going to be there. So here it's like, okay, I have a 2-hour window and I don't even live in this house, yet I have to do the Secret Shopper. But I'm going to use, you know, I'm going to use it to the best that I can take advantage, because, you know, on like a property that, you know, I possibly want to buy and fix up. And so the person didn't confirm the appointment, like when she's going to be there exactly, until 20 or 15 minutes before. So I had to drive from home to go to the property, and my boyfriend's you know, he had the code, so he didn't get there until like 5 after, you know, 20 minutes after she got there. So it wasn't, as how you say, organized, because they didn't prepare us to be organized, to be like, to set it up where we could be there on time for them, right? For the person. So when she got there, she went straight to the product. Like, she asked a lot of question like, what are you guys plan on doing it? You fix it, you're gonna live in it, or are you going to sell it? And I told her that, it could be, we can be living in it for a year, or we can sell it. So I want a combination of carpet and hard floor, in case, if we want to live there longer than a year. And then, but I want something that's economical as well, because this is not something that we're going to be living in it for long term. So she opened up her trunk, right, and then showed me the products, offered me a product that was on special, and said that they're willing to match any price as long as, the specs are the same. Going in, she was like surprised of like the condition of the floor. And then after she took her measurements and everything, she said that like, okay, so you guys need to prep the floor, like in some of the rooms, and then we can install the floor. So I was really like surprised, because when I did a ride along with Jose, I never heard him suggesting that to a customer. I saw him explaining the detail of what we're going to do to prep the subfloor. And so I took a whole bunch of pictures, and I sat down with Jose and I said, Jose, do you think you would be able to prep this subfloor before you install the floor, or do I need to find a different company? And he said, no, we can do it. It's not a problem, just a little bit of, more work. And I said, well, Empire said that they couldn't do it. So that's like the
And
big.
so that's a huge, that's a huge difference between what we do and what Empire and several other companies do. I mean, one, we give people an exact time that we're going to show up, and we show up on time. And we're trying to provide our customers with a white glove service that's end to end, instead of telling the customer, no, you have to do all this stuff, and then we can do the easy bit. I mean, I love it. Thank you for sharing that. Let's see, how about Carrie?
I think my biggest light bulb moment was working with the tablet. I've been doing a lot of ride-alongs with Shauna, and she's really quick on the tablet when we're, back in the van doing the quotes. And it just kind of seemed foreign to me all these times we've been on ride-alongs. And so just like, okay, that's how that works. And so, yeah, it's been very helpful going through all those exercises, and I was, for some reason, all my quotes were a bit high, and she always does kind of some what she calls shredding at the end. So that's another thing I'll have to, learn about as well, to kind of be more competitive.
Yep. Nice. Let's see. How about John Thompson?
Yeah. So two quick ones, or one quick one. So I did what Jason did. I had a local company come out to measure and all that stuff. Essentially exact same story that Jason just said. It really just came to show me the product, measure it. Wasn't really any kind of sales process, and then try to hard close me. I think what was the most interesting thing is when I asked about, because I have dogs. I mean, they were here while they were here, and they're pretty big dogs. When I asked about, like carpet, for example, stuff that's pet friendly, they told me that I could go to Home Depot and get some type of spray treatment to put on the carpet. So
that's brilliant.
Yeah, which whatever. And I even asked them, I said, so y'all have nothing that is pet friendly they didn't have anything, or they weren't willing to sell that product because they might be getting better margins from whatever they were trying to sell me. But Other than that, I went to Plano on Monday to spend a day with John Conroy, franchisee up there. That was really, really interesting and a lot of great knowledge. So one of the things I pulled away from that is know your tablet, like the process of the tablet, like measuring drawing rooms and stuff like that as much as you can, because if you can do that, quickly and efficiently, that's kind of like where he sees, in his opinion, the biggest kind of hiccup is that you don't know your tablet and how to draw rooms and how to measure quickly and efficiently, and then you're kind of stumbling through everything.
Right.
So, and then the other thing was we went to a job site where they're doing an install, and he was meeting with the installers to give them 10 minutes of instruction, and then next was going to a actual ride along with his DA and him. So it was interesting to see. It's not just which I knew this, but not just a sales part of it, but the DA is also, and the owner is also following up, going to the job sites, making sure the installers get there on time, making sure they have everything they need, walking them through and making sure they understand. And in fact, he had printed out, I guess he pulls this from Salesforce, each job for that week for that installer.
Nice.
So that was pretty cool to
experience.
see. Yeah, and I plan on going back and spending time with just the DA to get more time, with him, in ride along situations.
Sure. Nice. All right, let's see. Let's move to Leanne.
So I think coming from behind the scenes, doing the office manager or project coordinator, I think, and actually going out on some calls with Steve prior to starting the class gave me a whole lot of information, and especially from behind the scenes. But I think the biggest thing is practicing on the tablet and making sure you know what you're doing on the tablet, making sure that you're not, make sure you sync it all the time. All those little and the drawing and all those little things that you need to do is huge. And I actually started, while he's measuring a room, going behind him and measuring the room and punching stuff into my tablet and then coming back here, and then we compare and see what's going on.
Nice.
So, but I do need more because
smart.
the stairs do scare the crap out of me. So I think that's
Stairs are easy. Stairs are easy. You can
so I
tell.
think-
Let's see. Go ahead.
No, I just more practice with that and the tablet with, making sure everything's in there correctly and what needs to be taken out, all that kind of stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
And John Suarez, you can tell Dan and Liz that I said stairs are easy. It's no problem. Let's see,
All right,
Drew.
well, well, sorry. So my biggest learning experience was probably this morning. Me and Randy went to go look at a house that they already have started on, and just seeing like the different underlayments and the ways that they're putting in the flooring and a couple other projects as well, and just like the tedious little things that go with it, as far as if it's an angled wall compared to just a flat square room, how to take the measurement, how to subtract the cabinets out of room and everything without having to do too much effort, how to do it a more easy way. That's probably my biggest learning experience so far. And I went to Lowe's Hardware for mine, and it was just all around terrible. They didn't know when their installers could come out. They didn't know who the installing company would be. They barely knew anything about the product, and I had to wait 20 minutes just to get someone in the flooring department. So it was a great trip.
Welcome to Lowe's. Welcome to Lowe's. All right, Brad.
So being that I'm not local to North Carolina yet, I think the biggest thing I learned this week was I did some competitive shopping via phone. And there truly is a lack of hospitality or talent there in the flooring industry. There's a lot of mom and pops that have been there for a long time. But I don't think I found anyone yet that does what this business model does. So that was kind of an aha moment for me.
Nice. Taylor?
Everything technical was interesting to learn this week for me and very helpful. And I had an interesting appointment, a ride along. A customer actually scheduled us at the same time for an appointment as the competition. So that was an experience, and surely something that I'm grateful for, because I'm sure it won't be the last time it happens. So it was interesting.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Owen.
Hey, Arlen. Hey, guys. Yeah, so a couple things. One, I learned not to fall too far behind in this class because it's hard to catch up when you do. So I'm honestly just finishing up the first week and loading the stuff onto my tablet. So I haven't had a chance to do a lot of the estimating yet, but I'm looking forward to doing that over the next couple of days. I've been running back and forth and around, trying to get my mobile showroom out to get fitted and all that stuff. So stuff comes up, so don't fall behind. But I did have an interesting conversation over the weekend with a friend of mine that I hadn't seen in a while, who they were having their kitchen redone, and the remodeler gave them a bid for the flooring in there. And then he went out and he got a couple, he wanted to get shop a couple bids to see if he could get it done for cheaper. So he brought in Empire and he brought in a company called Luna. And this Luna company sounded like they were the closest that I've seen or heard of to our model, where they did have a mobile showroom. They did want to, spend a lot of time in his house, bring samples in, but it got to the point where the guy was at his house for like 2 hours and he literally had to kick him out of the house because he just, yeah, it was too much. I guess he was, I think the lesson learned there is he was looking for some quick bids to compare as part of a kitchen remodel. He wasn't trying to spend 2 hours with the guy chatting about personal stuff. And he gave that guy those hints, and the guy then ended up saying, well, I can't leave without you signing a contract and all this crazy stuff. So yeah, it was a little bit over the top.
Yep. I love it. All right. Patrick.
Yeah, kind of as a lot of other people are saying about like the competitive analysis type stuff. Having people actually show up is about half the battle. We've called out to a few different places. I think we're at 7 so far, and we've had 4 people actually show up. 3 just no showed after they said they'd be there at a certain time. And then it's kind of the same thing, variable levels of service and rapport building. It's pretty easy to see how somebody with the SCI business model could come into a market and really set themselves apart pretty simply.
Yep. Royce.
Probably mine was we actually had a vendor come and visit, and my only exposure to laminate flooring has been very thin, kind of cheap appearing stuff. So to learn that there was actually thicker, more durable, higher end laminate available, and that could in fact be more of a luxury flooring item was actually a big surprise for me.
Okay. Yeah, there's the technology on laminate has changed dramatically, even in the last 3 or 4 years. So laminate is, 10 years ago, I would have told you it was crap. Today, I will tell you that, no, that's actually worth taking a look at. So good. Let's see, Tatiana.
Yes, hi, good afternoon. I'm trying to get my camera figured out. But for me, like that I fell a little bit behind and I'm still trying to catch up. This week I will be estimating and working on the tablet, trying to figure out how to do that. That's probably the biggest learning experience. And also I will try to do some secret shopping as well.
Nice. Let's see, who have I missed? Who have I missed? Jose, I've missed you. Where is Jose on my
Right here.
There he is.
Definitely quite a few things. It's definitely a learning process. But I guess the one thing that I know for a fact now, that as long as you follow the inspired sale, you will be successful. In particular, a couple of weekends ago, we went out to an appointment, and she told us, she's like, you're my third estimate, and I got somebody else coming over next weekend. But I did love your presentation, so we'll get back to you. And sure enough, last Friday, she sent Mike an email saying, "Hey, we want to go with you guys." So that's definitely something that I, am very confident that if you follow the Inspire sale, you will be successful.
Nice. Let's see. Jalen, would you introduce yourself to the team?
Yes, I will. Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Jalen Mims. I am a new addition to the IT team over here at the Port Office in Atlanta, Georgia. Just kind of sticking in here with you guys because I am also going over the Inspired and understanding how to use all of the applications and the features within that. So I'm here to learn. And yeah.
Nice. And Christian, this is your first time on a call with us. Would you introduce yourself to the team?
Yeah, for sure. My name's Christian. I think I'm the only Canadian on this call. And yeah, I came from selling countertops before this, and I actually used that whole 10-step sales process in my previous place. So I'm quite familiar with that. The biggest learning curve for me is actually going to be learning all the product and applying it to this. So.
Nice. Thank you. Did I miss anyone? If I did, please take yourself off mute and. All right, off we go. So let's get the party started here. My screen's right. All right, so we will take a very, very quick look at our scorecard today. Because we've got a ton of people and we've got a lot of work to do. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on the scorecard, but I do want to at least show you where you are. So we'll do a quick homework check-in, and then we'll dive right into the Inspired sale. So if I bounce over to the scorecard quickly, let's just take a look. So for today, you should have week 1 and week 2 learning plans complete. You should have on the Salesforce side, the basic navigation and the calendar management complete. So for next Wednesday, the assignment will be to do the week 3 learning plan and to come in and do the Salesforce order flow information. And franchise owners, don't forget, you get this stuff down at the bottom. So you guys this week will also be assigned the accounting and QuickBooks basics and the PPA program, which are also found on the homepage of FloorU. So looking here, like I said, I'm not gonna dive into this deeply today, just because we've got a ton of time, a ton of work that we've got to get done. But I do want to pause here long enough for you to be able to see your name and see where you are. I will call out sort of some special recognition. Mauricio has got 31 ride-alongs. We've got Denise over here with 30 ride-alongs. 19 Sandra's got, 18 Jonathan's got. I mean, there's some big numbers that you guys are throwing up in terms of ride-alongs. And when I look at the ride-along sheet, there's a lot of stuff that's highlighted. You guys are doing a great job landing sales as you go. Now, if you're looking at your numbers, remember, if you see a 93, 90, you know what, you're close enough to being done. Sometimes it goes all the way to 100. That's great. If you're struggling with, I've got 1% done, okay, that's problematic. If I've got 0% done, that's problematic. All right, so that's all the time we're going to spend on the scorecard. If I look at last week's homework, the stuff that was in Floor U, you went through a lot of technical information about carpet. You went through a lot of information around how do you do an inspection video? What does it look like to create in Salesforce, create a lead in a project and be able to put something directly on your calendar? And then you had some estimating exercises around carpet. Are there any questions that came up as a result of the Floor U homework? Nope. All right. Then let's move forward.
Sorry, we had trouble getting off mute. I had a quick question. So one of the things that I had to go back and kind of restudy was the seaming diagram. Do you guys recommend we do that before we present every time, after? It kind of made it sound like it was like however you want to do it, but what's the best practice?
That's a really good question. So the best practice in the beginning, because the answer is going to change after you've been in business for 3 or 4 months, okay? But the best practice in the beginning is just go ahead and run the seaming diagram. Before you present a price to the customer, go ahead and run the seaming diagram. That is going to ensure that you have the right amount of carpet in your proposal. Now, once you've been in business for 3 or 4 months, there's some alternate strategies that I'll share with you. But at least in the beginning, go ahead and run the seaming diagram while you're there. And that way, you know you've got what you need. All right, good.
Harlan, I know we talked a little bit because I was having trouble getting my prices inside that range. And you said that's not really a concern, that they need to be inside that plus or minus 10% range.
Correct. So
Okay.
the estimating exercises, the manual one, so there's 2 types of estimating exercises. There's the manual exercises where I ask you to download a spreadsheet and use that spreadsheet to calculate. For those, you should be able to get, I mean, almost to the penny, because there's no variation, right? There's absolutely no variation. But on the tablet, material prices are constantly changing. Supplier prices are constantly changing. Labor prices are different across the country. So for you to say, in Ohio, I'm going to get exactly the same price as somebody in Atlanta, it's not possible. It's just not.
Okay.
There's regional pricing, there's differences. And frankly, if I'm 100% transparent with you, the price increases have come from suppliers so fast and furious that I don't have time to go back and continuously re-update all of these exercises with updated pricing. It's not possible. So
Okay.
the exercises that are in the tablet are truly there to help you learn how the tablet is used. It's not so much to come up with the perfect answer.
Okay, thanks.
Good question. All right, so let's take a look at where we are. Over the last couple of weeks, we've spent some time talking about the setup call and how do you make a really, really good setup call with the customer. Then when you get to the home, what does it mean to do a good warm up with the customer? Last week, we talked about how do you inspect the space so that you understand what is my current floor, what is my current subfloor, how is it installed? And then understanding from the customer, this is what they're looking for. How do they want their new floor to look? How do they want it to feel? How do they want it to last? Today, we're going to start with what does it mean to shoot an inspection video and how do you measure the job? Okay, so here we are in step 3. So I ask you guys from the material that you went through and for you, what is the purpose? What is the reason that we shoot an inspection video?
Create urgency.
Okay, that is true. We are trying to create urgency. Now, what does that mean exactly?
And
We
you're
put them
trying
on
to
a
find,
timeline. Go ahead.
sorry,
Helping the customer identify their problems so that we can provide a solution.
Okay. All right.
Changing it more
how
from
did
a
we-
want to a need.
Sorry, go ahead, Christian.
Changing it more from a want to a need.
All right. We want to change it from a want to a need. Dylan, how about you were going to say something?
I was just trying to clarify what it meant by creating urgency is, trying to put the timeline closer to deciding today, making decisions sooner. And I think the biggest thing in the sales for the Inspire sale is to establish not only a need to do it today, but what would happen, of course, like if you delay, you continue to hold off on like addressing these issues.
Good. Okay. So what else does the inspection video do? Yes, for sure, it drives urgency, but what else is it doing?
It sets us up as the expert.
Yep. Okay. So it does set us up as the expert, especially if you'll use some industry terms and show the customer exactly what's happening. Good. What else is it doing?
it's helping the installers understand what's going on whenever you do close the deal.
No.
You don't think
No.
so? Okay.
Sorry. So I don't like saying no, but this is a no. So the inspection video is specifically geared to the customer, not the installer.
So the
now, when you
takes
land the
ownership.
job, we're going to shoot another video, which I'm going to call a production video, and that one is for the installer. Okay. So but let's not confuse the two. The inspection video is a 45-second, maybe it's a 60-second video that is there to drive some urgency for the customer and get the customer to see their problem right there in front of their face. But I'm going to shoot that video completely different than a video that I shoot for my installers. And I'll shoot the installer video after I land the job, and that video might be 10 or 15 minutes if it has to be, if it's a big job, because I'm going to show the installer everything that needs to be done. So yes, there is a production video that goes to the installers, but that's not this one. Jonathan, you were going to pipe in.
Oh, I think you just answered it, but the customer takes ownership of their issue.
Okay. So I like all this, right? So we're creating urgency. The customer is taking ownership. Okay. But how does a video do those things?
Points out the problem.
Yeah, it points out the problem. This inspection video is all about building your credibility. Now, you and I both know that about half the stuff that's on YouTube is fake anyway, right? I mean, you see the stuff that's out there and you know in your brain, you know that that's fake, and yet we believe it anyway. I mean, it's the way we're wired. For whatever reason, our brains, when we see stuff on video, we believe it. Even though I know for a fact that this is fake, we still believe it. Oh, look, this cat jumped, 150 feet to go from here to here. No, it didn't. Yeah, but look, it did it. I see it on the video. It's complete. It's amazing that our brains work the way they do. And so when you shoot an inspection video, you're tapping into the customer's brain in a way that it really drives credibility. Now, they've walked past that same stain. They've walked past that same scratch in the hardwood. They've walked past that same problem with the floor 100 times in the last week, and their brains didn't recognize it until now. You've shown it to them on a 10-inch screen, and now you've shown it to them on your tablet, and now it's real. And it's like, oh crap, I got a stain on my carpet. It drives credibility. It drives urgency. All right, so how can we create an inspection video that really drives this home? All right, this is one of those things that this is not a word-for-word script, okay? You don't have to memorize this. You don't have to use this. But most of the time, people have a hard time shooting a video at first because they don't know how to get started. All right, so let's figure out how to get started. Well, one simple way to get started is to use a script like this. This is Arlen Brady with Floor Coverings International. I'm at the home of Wendy Forrester. Wendy, during my inspection, I found, and this is what I found. And this was caused by this issue, right? So Wendy, I was walking through the hallway and I saw this stain that's on the carpet. And this stain is caused by And by the way, it's not caused by the dog. The stain is caused from the fact that the stain protection is worn off of the carpet. It's not the dog's fault, it's the carpet's fault. If this is left untreated, well, what's going to happen is stains like this are going to grow, and this is a sign that the stain protection is worn off this carpet, and so it's going to make it easier and easier for the carpet to stain from here forward. Great. So if it doesn't happen, it's going to get worse. If this isn't treated, if we don't fix this, this is what's going to happen. Now you'll notice there's two things here. So what am I doing? I'm taking a small item. This is what I found. Here's my small item. And then I'm taking a big item. So how do I find two things that are wrong with the carpet or any flooring? How do I find two things that are wrong?
Visual and performance. I don't know.
Okay, I can classify them that way, but how do I find them? How do I find two things to talk about?
First, you can ask for their feedback about what they don't like about the flooring, and that could be one.
Bingo. Remember step 2? What is it that you don't like about your current floor? Okay, so I asked, what is it that you don't like about your current floor? And Wendy said, I don't like that stain. Good. Okay, that's one thing. Right? I asked, what is it that you don't like about your current floor? And Roy said, I hate the way this floor sounds. It sounds hollow. All right, what is it, what is it that you don't like about this floor? And Zuri tells me, well, I grew up with tile and I'm not really comfortable with carpet. I want something that, carpet seems like it's going to get dirty easy. So I want something that's more robust. It's easier to clean. Okay, great. Right? Whatever it is. Well, what happens if you walk into a home, and I'll paint this scenario for you. Somebody just sold their home and you're talking to the new buyer, but the seller, in order to get the home ready to sell, they put brand new carpet everywhere. Now the new person comes in, you walk in the house, it is brand new carpet everywhere in the house. It was just installed, but the customer hates this color carpet. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just they don't like this color. So what's wrong? What am I going to shoot the video about?
The color.
The color, right? I mean, that's it. It's the color. Okay, so it might not be a problem for you. You look at it and say, wow, this is perfect carpet. I mean, it was just installed last week. Shoot, for all I know, you're the one that installed it. And now you're going to turn around and rip it back up again. Okay, there's nothing physically wrong with it, technically wrong with it, but if it's the wrong color, that's the problem. Okay, so you don't have to invent something that's wrong with it. You don't have to invent, oh my gosh, we're going to have a trip hazard here. Well, you might not. I'm not going to make stuff up, right? But it's all about framing this for the customer in such a way that it highlights what the issues are. Okay. Now, when you draw a space, this is going to fly in the face of several people here, I know. But when you draw a space, I want you to keep the drawings really, really simple. Okay. So let's think about some measuring strategies. If you have a kitchen or let's say this is a kitchen over here. I've got two little tiny islands and I've got a little bay window. Or let's say I'm in a living room and I've got this living room and I've got this little angled wall here. You know how I'm going to draw these? Bam, bam. Those are two squares in my book. Now, does that bother anybody that I made those two, rectangles, technically? Does it bother anybody that I made those two rectangles instead of trying to figure out how to do this little thing here and all this nonsense up here? What do you guys think?
Oh, I like it.
If we go back on that the hand scraped hardwood appointment I talked to you about earlier, it was a very orchestrated, like very hard to design flooring, and I took about 20 minutes just to do the office. At that point, Janelle was like, Dylan, these are squares. So it's I think it's hilarious you're discussing that right now, because I did it. It was embarrassing, and we talked about dead time being terrible in the sales process. They only have so many people to call on the reference list. If you're taking 20 minutes to get every angle in a very difficult room, that's more and more dead time to kill yourselves.
Yep. So this is exactly how, thank you for sharing that. This is exactly how I'm going to draw these two rooms. All right, can the tablet do this? Sure it can, but it's not worth your time. There was a question.
Yeah, are you then using the pull the space out tool to make it accurate so you're not overestimating?
Maybe,
Just
maybe
depends on
not.
how much it is.
Yeah, so Wendy, when you buy, you don't know this yet, but when you buy, let's say a hardwood, for example, most of the time that hardwood comes in a box, and that box is, I don't know, somewhere between 20 and 30 square feet a box. Let's just round it off and say it's 25, let's average it, 25 feet a box, okay? So if this little rectangle, if this little triangle that's up here, I mean, if that's 10 square feet, why am I wasting my time? Because it's inside of a box quantity. Now, if this is a big conference room, and that might be the difference between, you know, this is a couple of boxes worth of material, then sure, I might do something to take it out. But I'm not wasting time drawing this angle. I'm not wasting time, certainly not wasting time trying to deal with this bay window. It's not worth it. So I will show you today how you can draw shapes. That's great. But the reality is you're not trying to recreate a floor plan. You're not trying to recreate a blueprint. You're not giving this to an architect so that they can go and build a house. At the end of the day, when you estimate a hardwood job, what are you trying to find? You're trying to find how many square feet to buy. And the only reason that you do a drawing is if you plop in the drawing, then the tablet will do the math for you. That's it. All right. What about a kitchen like this? How do you want to measure this kitchen?
Square. Two rectangles.
Yeah, you could do two rectangles, right? All right, so you could do it this way. You could put in a little L shape and you could measure it that way. Could, it's just a waste of time. You could also just make two rectangles and be done with it. Because again, at the end of the day, all I'm trying to do is come up with the total number of square footage. Now, if it bothers you, I'm not going to put flooring underneath the cabinets. Okay, so if I draw two rectangles like that, then yes, I probably am going to use the takeout tool and I'm going to take out the flooring that's under the cabinets because I'm not going to do that. Okay, but it doesn't make any sense to try to get down to the nitty-gritty detail in this room. Make two boxes and move on with life. As Dylan said, that time, that's dead time in the sales process, that'll kill you. You need to move quick, and this will help you move quick.
Arlen, I got a question about this one. I know it's kind of silly because it's a kitchen, but if somebody wanted carpet in here, and since that comes on a roll, should you make it just more of a single rectangle than a double?
Yeah, so if this were carpet, it's not a silly question. I mean, the room might not be a kitchen. It might be a living room that's this shape or a bedroom that's this shape. Yeah, if it were a carpet space or in a kitchen, let's say it's sheet vinyl that comes on a roll, I might do this as one big square, right? And I know this is waste, but it's going to be waste on the roll of the carpet anyway.
Right. I guess that's what I was getting at. Make sure that you that you incorporate everything that you're buying. If you know that there's going to be a ton of waste, but you need to buy that part of the roll, then you
got to buy it anyway. All right, so let's talk about building options. And so in step 3, we go back to this for just a second. Remember step 2, we understood what the customer is looking for. So in step 3, what are we doing? We're measuring the space and we're building options. So you've got to have a strategy for what I want my 3 options to be. Now, why do we have 3 options? Well, if I show the first price to the customer and the customer says, ooh, that's really too expensive, I don't want dead time. So I already have a second option priced up that we can talk about. I already have a third option priced up that we can talk about. And I want those options to be gapped by 20 or 25%. I mean, sometimes they'll end up being more. But if you've only gapped them by 5 or 10%, there's not really a difference in the customer's perspective. So let's think about different strategies. You come to my house and you're going to provide a flooring quote for me. And I tell you that I've got these several rooms, and I really like the way that wood looks. I mean, I'd love to have a hardwood floor. how could you give me 3 options? So 3 different price points, if the only feedback you have right now is, you know, I'm looking for a hardwood floor. I'm looking for something that looks like wood.
You could do real hardwood and then maybe engineered and then laminate. So they have 3 wood look options.
Sure. So I could come up with, I'm just going to go ahead and put these on the screen. So you could do like, hey, I'm going to do a hardwood floor for you. And then maybe my second option is a luxury vinyl plank. And then my third option might be a laminate, right? Because I said I like the way that wood looks. I didn't say it absolutely has to be hardwood. So option 1 might be hardwood. Option 2 might be a different product type. So this is the beautiful thing about the way that flooring looks today. Laminate, luxury vinyl plank, they look just like wood. Engineered hardwood is wood. So, I mean, there's all sorts of different ways that you can do this and meet a different price point. Get the same look and meet a different price and hit a different price point. What's another way that I could come up with 3 options?
You could do a financing option, right? If you get a sense of their budget and they really want to go with a specific product, but it's, you know, $1,000 over, you could finance a portion of it for them.
Yeah, but that's staying within. You absolutely could, but that's staying within one option. So I'm saying, what do you do to change the option? In other words, Owen, you came up with a $10,000 floor, and I really can only afford $9,000. But you found a way to help me buy the $10,000 floor through financing. Great. Now, what I'm asking is, how can you come up with a $10,000 option, a $7,500 option, and a $5,000 option? How can you come up with 3 different price points for this project?
Just do the 3, just
changing the scope.
3 different price groups.
All right, so all right, so Leanne, you said something about price groups, right?
Price groups and then changing the rooms, you know, chopping it up into different spaces that they can do at a time.
Sure. So I could pick, you know, PG3 hardwood, PG2 hardwood, PG1 hardwood. I could have 3 different price groups. So maybe this first one is a hardwood that's, you know, $10 a square foot. This one's $8 a square foot. This one's $3 a square, I don't know, whatever. But I could have 3 different options. So I'm doing the same space, but I'm just using the different level of hardwood for each one. Or like Leanne said, I could change the space. So maybe one option, you know, you come in and say, okay, we're going to do all of the downstairs in hardwood. Maybe the big thing is, you know what, I really want my master bedroom and the living room done. Okay, so that's the main space and maybe one other space. And then, you know what, the number 1 priority is I really have to get the master bedroom done. Okay, well then that could be option 3. It's just the 1 room. So again, when I'm all the way back in step 2, are there any other spaces that you're considering doing right now that helps me build a strategy for how I want to build these options? All right, what's another way that I can come up with 3 different options, 3 different price points?
You could look at full waste, actual waste, labor.
Yeah, you could start. So now we're starting to kind of play with pennies. Okay, I still want to get to the dollars. I agree with you, Robbie, but those are like pennies. So I'm looking for the big dollars that I can still play with.
Sacrificing margin.
Yeah, but see, okay, and here's another point. I'm never going to be the one that tells you build your options based on change in margin, because to me, you all ought to be able to sell at a 50-point margin or higher anyway. So that's not where we're giving it away. Okay, so how can I come up with 3 options where I'm not playing with the margin and I'm not playing with pennies? There's still some things out there that we can do that allow me to come up with 3 big options.
I mean,
Even though they're looking for the wood look, could you still mix in a carpet or a tile?
You could, 100%.
You could take out different options within the packages. So like furniture moving, or even like removal of the existing floor. You could ask if they could do it themselves or if they wanted to do that.
100%. So that's another way to do it, right? I'm getting a lot of echo off of Christian. Mike, thank you. So yes, I could absolutely take and say, you know, your option one, we're doing everything hardwood, the whole 9 yards. Option two, maybe we don't do the bedroom, we just do this space. But option three, we can do this space. Would you want to remove the existing flooring? Would you want to move your own furniture? Do you want to handle your own trim, right? So there's a way to do that where the customer, yeah, they put a little sweat equity in it and they can save some money. All right, what's another way? So think outside the box.
Installation method.
Go ahead, Dylan.
You could change the installation method, go to a floating method as opposed to, again, tear out and installing on a bare subfloor.
Maybe. Could be.
Upgrade baseboards, caulk and paint.
Oh, look at that. Now let's think. Extra services, right? So I could upgrade their baseboards. You go into a house and you got these little cheap 3.5 inch, 3.25 inch builder grade baseboards. Hey, if we're going to do a hardwood floor in here for you, why don't we upgrade your baseboards to a nice 5 inch, you know, tall baseboard and really make the room pop? What other upgrades could you put in option one that make it easy to take it out for an option two or three? What other upgrades can you think
of? Lifeguard or R2X. Like
okay, so certain features within the product, sure. So if I take out, let's give you this scenario. If I take out carpet and I put in hardwood, what's my next purchase going to be?
Area rugs.
An area rug. If you pull out carpet, anytime you put in a hard surface, 93% of the time, that customer is going to go out and buy an area rug next. Well, why don't you sell it to them? Put it in your option one. You know, you've got area rugs that are like $2,000. Put that $2,000 area rug in as option one. And if they look at it and say, oh, wait, this is way too much money, there's no way. Okay, good. You know what we'll do? You can get an area rug from Walmart. Let's take the rug out, but you still get the flooring that you love. So you came up with a $10,000 option that has an area rug in it. And with the snap of a finger, boom, now all of a sudden, we just take the area rug out. You still get the floor you love for $8,000. And you can go to Walmart and get an area rug. You'll throw it out in a couple of years anyway. Then come see me. So think outside the box with these, because you really do need to find a way to come up with the different price points. Option one, option two, option three, that's going to be really, really important when we get to the close. And you know what? It's a mixture of these. So it might be that option one, I'm doing hardwood everywhere. Option two, I'm only doing hardwood in this space. Option three, I'm doing hardwood here and carpet there. Or instead of hardwood, I do laminate here and carpet there. There's a ton of different ways to do this, right? You've got so many different variables. It's not hard to come up with three options. The hard part is figuring out which ones to actually use, because there's so many options that are out there. Okay, so here's what I want to do. I want to bounce into the tablet, and we're going to take a tour of the tablet. I don't consider this the end all be all 100% everything that you're ever going to know. I consider this a very, let's say, a deep overview, if you will. And you should be seeing my tablet screen now. So I'm just going to go into InspireNet. And when you log in, you might be on this screen, which is your sync screen. So that's fine. If you're on the sync screen, that's okay. I want to be on the calendar screen, so I'm going to click the little back arrow, and I'm going to go back to the calendar, the one that's got the dates across the top of the screen. And the tablet makes it really, really easy to create what's called a training task. Now, this is different than a training customer. The only way to create a training customer is to create that in Salesforce first, and then put an appointment, a training appointment on your calendar. So we're not doing that right now. This is truly a training task. It's very simple. I push the plus right there in the middle of the screen, and now I have a training task. I touch the training task, and now I've got this lead open. If this were a real customer, you would see all their name, phone number, email. You'd see all that good stuff here. And now I'm going to hit the go button on the bottom right-hand side. So the appointment has not started yet. Do you want to start it? Well, yes, I believe I do. Thank you very much. And you'll notice a lot of the things that we've been talking about in the inspired sale are right here. So it tells you, what am I going to do first? I'm going to do the warm-up. So I'm going to put my tablet away. I'm not going to talk about business. And I have the transition questions listed right there. How long have you been thinking about replacing your flooring? What made you decide to do it today? Oh, really? What makes you say that? So I'm not going to have the tablet out in front of the customer looking at this, but if I'm sitting in the van waiting to walk up to the door and I'm a little bit lost, I can open the tablet up and I can see it right there. What am I going to do next? So I'm going to get ready to inspect it. So I'm going to set myself up as an expert. You've got all the stuff about selling the reference list. It's all right there. Okay. So now I hit the next button. And I'm going to record the customer's answers. So how long have you been thinking about replacing your flooring? Let's see, Renee, how long have you been thinking about replacing your flooring?
About a year.
Oh, look at that, about a year. Okay, well, I'm going to put 6 months to a year. Good. And Renee, what made you decide to do it today?
I just don't like them. I need an update.
Okay, great. So she says she just doesn't like them and she needs an update. So does that give me an objection? Do I have anything to work with here? No, I don't.
No.
All right, so I'm going to hit Renee again. Renee, so what made you decide to buy from me today?
Oh, I'm not buying today.
Oh, really? What makes you say that?
Well, I have a few others coming in.
Oh, look at that. And magically, now she's given it up. So now I know that she's getting other estimates. Okay, see, it's simple. It walks into it every time. So I'm going to pick on the tablet, I need to get other estimates. And this is how I'm going to record that answer. Now at the bottom, it says that the customer agreed to make reference list calls. So if she said yes, I'll be happy to call the reference list. That's great. Now watch this. There's so many people that skip over this step. Because she said I need to get other estimates, when I click the next button, notice what it gives me. It gives me the primary and secondary strategy for this appointment. So what is my primary strategy? If she says other estimates, my primary strategy is in step 6. I need to really be able to educate her on the options when it comes to buying floors. And I want to focus on the slides that talk about us versus our customers so that she understands that we're the only estimate that she really needs. And my secondary strategy is in step 4 in the company story. Okay, great. Notice I'm going to hit the back button and go back. What if she had said, hey, I'm not sure what product I want. You know, I'm just starting. I don't really know if I want hardwood carpet. I've called you guys out here because you said you brought a lot of samples. All right, good. Now what happens if I hit next? Oh, look, the primary strategy is still step 6, but the words are different here. The reason that it's step 6 is because I'm really focused on presenting products and helping the customer understand what is the product that's right for them. And my secondary strategy is in step 2 when I'm setting myself up as an expert so that she'll actually listen to the recommendation that I give her. Let's do one more. I go back. Let's say that, I'm just starting out doing my research. Okay, great. What does this one say? My primary strategy is in step 2. So the key here is going to be to get her to call the reference list as part of helping her do her due diligence. So every objection that you get, you can summarize that objection in one of these, and depending on what it is that they pick, when you hit that little next button at the bottom, it actually shows you where you really need to focus to be able to land this sale. It's absolutely brilliant. All right, let's hit the next button again. This is where I would record my inspection video. Now, I can't actually record it on Zoom. I get this error that says can't record videos during calls, so I can't actually do it, but that's okay. You see my nasty computer, and now we move on. And you've got the ability to write some notes here. These notes are not seen by the customer. Those are only your internal notes. All right, so let's hit the next button. Now we're on the drawing menu. So if I want to draw a square drawing, I'm going to hit the little square button over here to the left. And I just touch the screen, and it gives me a little box, and now I can put my dimensions in. So I hold my little laser measuring device and I measure the room left to right. You'll notice it always asks for the left to right dimension first and then the front to back dimension. When I'm standing in a house, I stand in a house so that I'm facing the front door of the house. I know for those of you that have come from any sort of drawing construction background, it's backwards, but I'm purposely going to put the door on the front of the house at the top of the screen. I'm doing that on purpose because you can always look out a window and figure out where the front of the house is. So it just makes it really easy not to make a mistake, and I need all the rooms oriented in the same direction. All right, so let's say this room is 13 feet wide and it's 15 feet long. Oops, I did 13, 15. I messed up. How do I fix this? Well, there's a little button on the left that says undo last wall. So I can hit that, and now I'm back to here, and I want this to be 13 feet, enter, enter, by 15 feet, enter, enter. Good. I hit the confirm button, and I can give it a room name. We'll just call this a bedroom. Now I can change what level the room is on. So if this is in the basement, first floor, second floor, let's just say this bedroom's on the second floor. That doesn't change any kind of pricing. It's just to help you keep your rooms organized. I clicked on the button that says door at the top, and now I can add a door. So if I want to add a door, I simply touch the wall where I want to add the doorway. That's great. And I can hit the letters, the word that says door 1, and that brings up a menu over here on the right-hand side. So you'll notice at the top, I can call this a 3-foot wide door, a 6-foot wide door, or I can make it a custom size. I can say this is 4 feet, 6 inches, whatever. What is the distance from the left corner? Okay, this is a little funky. Watch. When I hit the right button, it moves the door over to the other side. But does it seem backwards to you that now it says it's the distance from the left, but the door is all the way on the right-hand side? Does that seem backwards? Okay, so the reason that it's done that way is because if you're standing inside the room, that door is on the left-hand side, right? So if you were standing in the room, so it's designed, you know, here we are playing with it at a desk. It's designed that you're standing inside the room, so which way is the door? The door is on the left-hand side, okay? What does it mean to add a transition? What does that button do?
It's just going to account for the material needed for a transition piece if there's 2 different flooring types.
Yep. So if I've got 2 different types of flooring and I need a transition piece, that's there. And if I take it out, because let's say there's carpet on both sides, then I don't have a transition. What's it mean to trim a door? Why would I want to trim a door?
You're going to raise the level of the flooring to a certain height.
Yeah. So if the new floor is going to be taller than the old floor was, and I've got to cut the bottom of the door, great. Then that allows me to do this. But so just intuitively, if I mark this on trim door, what do you think that's doing?
Putting a cost in there?
Yeah, it's putting a cost on your proposal to trim the door, right? So every time I hit one of these buttons, I'm affecting the proposal that I'm writing. You are writing the proposal as you go. I can add a photo, that's good. So if I said, great, let's take a picture, it will let me take a picture, so that's good, I can do that. So now I've got my picture. And that's added. I can add a video, only I can't do it while I'm on Zoom. And you can mark some notes here. So any pictures that you take here, any little videos that you take here, they're all going to upload to Salesforce. And that way you can go back and look at them later if you need to. Show them to an installer, whatever you need to do. Now I can get to the takeout one of two ways. I can either hit the check mark at the bottom that says move on to takeout, or I can hit the takeout word up at the top. Either way, it doesn't matter. So what is a takeout? What does that mean?
What you're removing.
Yeah,
No.
like taking out cabinets or anything like that. Anywhere where you measure the room, but there's space, like a kitchen island or so.
Right. So this is, think about it like this. What is my, if you look at this bedroom right now, how many square feet is this bedroom?
195.
Yep, it's 195. So I look at this and I say, there's this big island in the middle of the room. For what, I don't know why a bedroom has an island in it, but this one does. All right, so I've got a bedroom and it's got an island in the middle of it. And I'm not going to move the island. We're going to floor around it. So in that case, I need to remove the square footage, okay, because I don't want to add that square footage into my proposal. So I can click the plus that says add a new takeout. Now there's three ways that I could put this takeout in. I could either put in the number of square feet that it is, I could put in the actual measurements, or I could call it standard cabinets. So if I click on square feet, that means that I've looked at this island, maybe I measured left and right, maybe I measured front and back, and then I did the math. And I said, you know, this is 2 feet wide and it's 6 feet long, so that's 12 square feet. And you'll notice all the way over here on the right-hand side, there's a box, and I could put my 12 all the way over in that right-hand side box, and now it's going to take out 12 square feet. Now look at the drawing. It says 183 square feet. Well, that's fun. That's a neat way of doing it. But you know what? I'm too lazy to calculate that. So what if I put in measurements? So now I've got 4 boxes. Anytime you see these 2 boxes side by side like that, the first box is feet and the second box is inches. So I could come in here and I could say that this thing is 2 feet long, 6 inches. And the width of it is, let's say it's 8 feet, 4 inches. And now it says, look, I've got a 20.83 square foot takeout because the system did the math for me. That's pretty cool, but you know what? I'm lazier than that. I'm going to take all these out. The one I love is the one that says standard cabinets. So normally when I look at a takeout, whether it's a set of kitchen cabinets or an island or whatever, in my mind, I just picture it like it's a standard set of cabinets. So how deep is a standard set of cabinets? On the floor, not the top of the cabinet, but how deep is it on the floor?
1.6.
1.75.
All right, so a little over 2 feet, somewhere in the 2 foot range, somewhere in there. I don't know, 20 inches, 22 inches, something like that. Okay. So the tablet has a standard cabinet width. So if I'm in this kitchen and all I've got to do is measure or estimate how many linear feet of cabinets are there. So let's say I've got 10 feet of cabinets. Well, now the system automatically calculates for me 10 feet, that's 17.5 square feet of takeout. And I love, this is my favorite way of doing a takeout because this is so easy. I can go into a kitchen that has all these complicated cabinets. It doesn't make any difference. All I'm going to do is add up the total. So I've got a cabinet and a dishwasher. I've got a cabinet and I've got a refrigerator. I've got a cabinet and whatever. I'm just going to add up the total linear feet of cabinets and put one number in here. 10 feet. And I don't measure the depth of it. I don't care. It's close enough. This one happens to be 22 inches. The last one was 20 inches. Now I've got one 24 inches. It's close enough. I call it a standard cabinet, put in the linear feet and move on. So you can take a very complicated kitchen and very quickly turn it into a box with some takeouts and go to the next room. Questions about takeouts? And yes, you can put in a photo if you want to. All right, items to move. What's an appliance?
Dishwasher, dryer, refrigerator.
Okay, so yep, just like you would think, dishwasher, dryer, refrigerator. What happens if I put in that we have one appliance to move?
It adds a charge.
Yep, it's going to add an appliance move charge. Okay.
That's under
that's
the
good.
heavy item move, right?
Nope, this is appliance move.
Okay, so that's different. Got it. Thank you.
Yep, this is appliance move. Now the next one down is a toilet move. Toilet, pedestal sink, right? So a lot of times, you know, a lot of times you have a vanity that goes all the way down to the floor and you're not going to move that. But if you have a pedestal sink, you're going to have to move the pedestal sink to do the floor underneath it because you see it. Or there's a vanity that you have to move because they've upgraded to one of these modern, retro, antique looking vanities that has, you know, that you can see the floor underneath it. In that case, you have to floor under it and you have to move it. Okay. Or a toilet, you got to move the toilet to be able to put the floor in. All right, so that could be a move. And now the next one, Wendy, there's your heavy items to move right there. All right, so what is a heavy item to move?
Piano, pool table.
Couch.
Yep. Probably not a couch. I mean, unless this is a, I don't know, this is a super duper couch. A heavy item to move, I want you to think about it like this. A heavy item to move is something that I'm going to have to bring in additional labor. I need additional money to move this. All right, so normally a couch, your installers can move. A bed, your installers can move. A pool table, you know what? I might need to bring somebody in that'll move this pool table. Piano, grandfather clock, right? It doesn't even have to be that terribly heavy. It's something that's going to require extra labor to be able to do. All right, I'm going to put that in there just so that we can see what it does. And then I've got a photos and notes, and that's a tab that I can add additional pictures and notes on. Let's click back to floor plan. And now we have our first room, we've got a bedroom. Let's do another room. So this time, I'm going to draw the room. Because I want you to see that the tablet can do it, even if you never use it. The pencil button over on the left-hand side, I've got that little pencil to draw with. And I'm going to make a T-shaped room. Now, one thing, I know you can't see this on the video. When you use a drawing tool, you're not dragging your finger across the screen. You're literally touching the screen at every corner of the room, okay? And you'll also notice that when I do this, I have to draw the space first and then go back and put in dimensions. So let's make a T-shaped room. I'm just going to touch the screen and it gives me a little dot. I'm going to touch the screen again and it gives me a line. Hand is off the screen, and now I'm going to touch the screen again, and it gives me another line. I'm going to touch it, touch it, touch it, touch it, touch it, and now stop. I'm not going to try to draw the last wall. Just not going to do it. Instead, there's a little check mark on the left-hand side that says close shape. And I'm going to make the tablet draw the last wall. So I don't try to draw the last wall. I simply hit the little check mark that says close shape. And now I have a T-shaped room. All right, so now I'm going to put some numbers in here. And I'm going to make this easy on myself. And let's say this is 5. And let's say this is 10. This is another 5. And this can be 20. And now I'm putting in the dimensions for the last room that I drew, for the last wall that I drew. And when I hit the enter this time, the tablet is going to calculate what that last wall has to be. And you'll also notice, I'm going to hit the confirm button, but you'll also notice that it rescales the drawing according to the dimensions. So when you draw it the first time, you don't have to, it doesn't even have to look like what you drew. All you're trying to do is get the corners on the screen. Get it close, and the tablet will it'll resize it according to the dimensions that you put in. So let's hit confirm. Oh, we'll call this a big hallway. Why not? Again, I can put some doors in here if I want to. So maybe there's a door on that side. Maybe there's a door on this side. Yep, and maybe there's a door here. Fine. So that's good. I've got 3 doors in here now. So let's, I'm not going to have any takeout or items to move. We're just going to go back to the floor plan with this one. And you'll notice that I can size the drawing. I can move it around, whatever I want to do. But didn't we draw a bedroom? Where's my bedroom?
Second floor?
Oh, second floor. So look, over here on the left, I've got a little, like a little sandwich. And sure enough, I've got a room on the first floor and a room on the second floor. Well, let's move this to the second floor. So if I go back into the room menu, that's the little button with the 3 dots. If I go back into the room menu, I can simply move that to the second floor now and go back to the floor plan. And now when I look at the second floor, I've got those together. Well, I don't like the way that looks, so let's do this. And you know what? That bedroom, maybe this bedroom is not turned exactly the right way. So if I touch on the bedroom, I can now turn that room. You see the little arrows on that corner. And I can start to do some things that now
How are
start
you
to make
doing that
sense.
rotation? Are you having to do like a 2-finger gesture, or how are you rotating that?
All right, so click one, open one of the rooms, click one of the rooms and let one of the rooms be highlighted. And then you'll notice in one of the corners, you see that arrow, that little curved arrow. So now if you click that little curved arrow, I'm just touching it and I can rotate. It only rotates in one direction. So if you want to rotate, you kind of, sometimes you have to go 3/4 of the way around because it only rotates one way. Okay. We can do all kinds of fun stuff with this. I can do another drawing, and yeah, I can draw something that looks like this. That certainly can be done. Make that 10. Let's make
So
that,
Arlen, I'm
oh, why
trying to
not
follow
10
along
by,
with you, right? And you said that you hit close shape. When I go to hit close shape, it keeps telling me that it's an invalid shape and that I'm missing the subfloor.
all right, so there's a couple of things that's mixed here. So you shouldn't be getting anything about a subfloor yet. So I'm going to delete this room and we're going to do this together. So let's hit are you on this screen with me? All right, so click on the button that says draw. And then I just want to touch the screen. Let's do a 5-sided room. So I'm going to touch the screen and I'm going to go down and touch the screen. And I'm going to go across and touch the screen and go up. And I'm going to go only about halfway across this time. So do you have something that looks something like this? Reasonably so. It doesn't have to be exact. All right. So now I'm not going to try to draw the last wall. I've got that big open gap. And at this point, hit the button that says close shape. And it should close the shape for you.
Yeah, I was running in this with the scenarios too. It just keeps telling me that it's invalid.
All right, we may have to take it offline but I've yet to find a case where the tablet, this may or may not be good news. It's almost always a user error thing. I don't know exactly what you're doing, but there's something that's not, are you drawing it big or are you drawing it really small?
I mean, I'd say it's probably like the same size as yours. Nothing crazy big, nothing crazy small.
All right, we'll look at it together. All right, so let me put some numbers in here. All right, so now I've got this thing. I hit confirm, and I don't know, we'll call this a bathroom. Why not? And I'm going to go to the door, and I'm going to hit this 7-foot wall. Now, this is going to be the weirdest bathroom you've ever seen, because that's not really a wall. There's not really a door there. It's an open wall. It's just wide open. I'm telling you, these people have a funky house. The bathroom doesn't have a door on it. It's just a wide open, whatever. So that's good. All right, so maybe here I do have something to move. Maybe I do have a toilet that needs to be moved in this funky bedroom. And I can put this, wherever it makes sense for that to go. All right, good. Now, in order to actually build my proposal, I've got to put stuff in it. In other words, I've got to tell it, you know, this is what I'm taking out and this is what I'm going to put back in. So I need to move ahead to the next screen, but in order to do that, I've got to put in my subfloor. So I'm going to click all 3 rooms, and I'm going to hit this button that says Space Info. There's a little eye there on the left. Now at this point, I'm going to stop for just a moment. You should be able to see over on the right-hand side, you should have 3 buttons just like I do. The first button is, unless you've touched it, the first button should say removal and hallway of carpet. The second one says standard furniture move. The third one says plywood. Does anybody only see 2 buttons or maybe 2.5 buttons? Or can everybody see all 3 buttons clearly like this?
2.5.
I kind of see half the subfloor. I can still access it, but it's kind of halfway cut off.
All right, good. So those of you that are having a hard time seeing that third button, let's fix that right now. Okay. So I want you to swipe your tablet from the top. So that's going to bring up this little menu, and hit the gear that's in the top right-hand side. That's going to go to your settings. Now from your settings, we're looking for, on the left-hand side, we're looking for something that says display. I'm going to open up display. And then scroll down, there's 2 things that we need to adjust. One is the font size and the other is the screen zoom. So let's do the font size to begin with. Click on font size and style. And now down at the bottom, you see there's this slider. And you don't have to be as small as it can get, but you'll need to be no bigger than the second one over. So I want you to slide it to the left. Again, it doesn't have to be the smallest, but no bigger than the one next to that. When you've done that, hit the little back arrow and come back to this screen. And now let's go to the screen zoom. And for the screen zoom, it does need to be all the way over to the left. And now from there, I'm going to hit the back button. And when you go back into InspireNet, you should see all 3 buttons. All right, good. So now let's pick what's in here. So I'm going to remove, you'll notice when I click on removal, there's a whole host of things that we can remove. We can say we're removing carpet. We can say we're removing a floating floor. We're removing tile. I'm going to just leave that as carpet. Now we have something called furniture move. Okay. There's a heavy furniture move, there's none, and there's standard furniture move. What is the difference between heavy furniture move and the heavy item to move that we had in the room menu?
Heavy furniture move is more like if you're going into a house or a room that's has boxes stacked to the top and kind of hoarder type, where you're having to move a lot of stuff out.
Exactly. Okay, so a heavy item to move is, I have like one thing. It's a thing. It's a piano. It's a pool table. It's a grandfather clock. It's something that needs extra labor to come do. A heavy furniture move, this is different. This means that these people have a lot of crap in this room. Okay, there's a lot of stuff in here that's got to get moved. So it's going to be more expensive to do it, but this is just, there's a lot of stuff to move. All right, standard furniture move is you're typically going to pick, or maybe there's no furniture. So that's good. And subfloor type. And you've got the ability to pick your different subfloor types. So I'm going to leave mine as plywood for right now. You'll notice that I picked all 3 rooms. You can do them one by one. It's no problem. I'm going to hit the check so that we can move forward from here. All right, so now I'm going to hit the little $sign on the bottom right. When I hit the $sign on the bottom right, oh my gosh, my drawing went away. Where's my drawing? Oh yeah, it's on the second floor. Good. All right, so now I'm looking at the second floor. All right, so let's say that my first option, I'm going to put hardwood in all 3 of these rooms. So I select all 3 rooms. I hit the hammer that says set install info, and I pick hardwood. And now when I pick hardwood, I've got various ways that I can install it. Well, I'm going to nail this hardwood down. Is there a pattern? No, it's not a pattern. It's just straight. I'm going to use a standard underlayment. No problem with that. Is there subfloor work to do? No, in our case, there's none. What kind of trim work do I want to do? Well, why don't we just leave the baseboards intact and install quarter round to the existing baseboards? And just to make life easy, I'm just going to pick PG3 as my hardwood. Everybody should have that in their tablet, and I can hit the enter button. And it gives me this black screen that allows me to see everything that I'm going to need for this job. Okay, so let's hit enter. And I want to hit the button that says complete option, because now I want to take a look at what's inside here. So this is your complete option screen or your detail screen. And I can go through here and see every little thing. Freight, hardwood installation, underlayment, installing quarter round, new quarter round, furniture move. And I can walk through this and I can see all these things. And it might be that I look and say, oh, wait a minute, appliance move. There's no appliances. What was I thinking? And so I can simply come over to the X and I can hit the X and get rid of it. Okay, there's no appliance there. Heavy item to move. No, I didn't need that. This is just a regular furniture move. I don't need that, so I can take that out too. All right, good. And then I have my proposal, and I can go down to the bottom and hit what's called create more options. Good, create more options. Now I can duplicate the option that I just did, but I want to create something brand new. So I'm going to hit the X. I just want to start from here.
Quick question for you. If I build, so say I have a bedroom and a hallway, and I build the hallway and the closet to not need furniture removal, and I build the bedroom to need it. When I go and select that product and it gives me that checklist at the end, is it still honoring those original choices?
It is.
Okay.
Yep, it is. So what you'll notice is that the square footage, because it'll have like removal of furniture, but the square footage for that will be much less than it would have if it had been in all the rooms. All right, so let's do another one. I'm going to hit the little plus button, and I'm going to create a new option. And let's say in this option, I still want to do hardwood in the hallway and in the bathroom. So I'm going to set the install info, and I'm going to pick hardwood. And I'm going to leave the same options here, and I'm going to pick my PG3 again. So everything that we've just done, hit enter. But I want to do carpet in the bedroom. So I've done my hardwood in those 2 rooms, and here I'm going to select the bedroom, set install info, carpet, and I'm just going to leave the defaults the way they are, and I'm going to pick a PG3 carpet this time. And let's go into complete option. And same as before, whoops, am I on the right one? Yes, same as before. I want to go in and take out, because that appliance move doesn't really fit. Now you'll notice this section is called the hall and bathroom section. So this section is where it's all about the hardwood. Okay, great, great, great. And then in the bedroom, well, that's where I made the mistake of having an appliance that doesn't belong. And there's a toilet that doesn't belong in the bedroom. So I can take that out. And there's a heavy item to move in the bedroom. And I decided, no, I don't need that either. So I can take those out. And now I've got another option. Okay. So I've got one option at $10,900, and I have a second option at $9,400. Is that a big enough gap? It's kind of tight. I would prefer to see that gap a little bigger, like maybe that second option is below 9,000. So maybe what I do is, instead of offering a PG3 carpet in the bedroom, maybe I do a PG2 carpet in the bedroom or something to bring that down, because that's still not a big enough gap to make a difference. Okay. For right now, just for the sake of time, I'm going to move ahead. So let's create a third option. And let's say this third option is going to be all carpet. Yeah, carpet in the bathroom. I don't know what's wrong with these people. So set install. And I'm going to pick carpet. And this time, PG3 again, just for fun. And let's see, I'm going to go into complete option. And again, I'm going to delete the things that I didn't like. So let's get rid of the appliance move. Let's get rid of the heavy item to move, wherever that is. There it is. Let's get rid of that. Oh, and since I'm doing carpet everywhere, I don't need these transitions, so I can get rid of those two. Yeah, that works.
Hey, there's 2 toilet pedestals to move here. Is it possible from this screen to get rid of just one?
Oh, good question. So look down at the bottom. You see where I've got these little icons? There's a plus, a folder, a pencil. Let's click the pencil. Clicking the pencil, now anything that's underlined, I can change. And next to the toilet, where I've got 2 toilets, I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to make that 1 toilet. And then I go down to the bottom where I have, now the pencil is turned into a check mark. Let's hit the check mark. And now I'm down to 1 toilet.
We should add a waterproof
I can change.
pad.
What's that?
We should add a waterproof pad.
Yeah, well, if you're going to do carpet, in the bathroom, there's some other things that probably need to be added, but that's, you know, that's neither here nor there. I would suggest adding a door to start with. Okay. All right, so here we go. So let's go back. So I've got 3 options here. Now I did not run the seaming tool for the carpet. So let's run the seaming tool and see what that does. So I'm going to go back into option 3 again. I'm going to hit my complete option button. And when I come down to the bottom of this section that has carpet in it, you'll notice the 4th icon over. There's a plus, there's a folder, there's a pencil, and then there's something that looks like a little calculator. If I click that little calculator button, this is going to run the seaming tool for me. So I can run this in a horizontal way. So I can say, like that hallway, I want to make sure that I'm running it long ways in the hallway. I can force it to run it vertically, or I can say, it's up to you. I want the least amount of scrap possible and leave it as optimal. The horizontal repeat, the vertical repeat, that has to do with if I have a pattern in the carpet. Let's just assume for now, for simplicity, that this is a solid carpet. How wide is a typical roll of carpet? Anybody know?
12 foot.
12 to 15.
All right, so 12 feet. I think that was Robbie that said that, right?
Yeah.
So Robbie, trick question, how wide is a 12-foot wide roll of carpet?
12.
12.3.
It's not 12.
12.3.
It's not 12.3.
11.9.
11.9. So anybody ever go buy a 2x4 at the lumber yard, or if you go to Home Depot, you buy a 2x4? It's not 2 inches by 4 inches, and a 12-foot wide roll of carpet is not 12 feet wide. So in order to get the seaming tool to work properly, I want you to come into the roll width, and we're going to put in 11.9. Okay, because that's the actual width, that's the actual estimating width. The carpet, a 12-foot wide carpet is not exactly 12 feet, it's more like 11.9. So I hit 11.9, I hit the yes button. And now my waste factor has changed. So where it was, I think it was, I forget what it was before. I should have looked, but it was probably 20% before, and now it's at 16.59. You'll see that as like the fifth column over. And if I want to see what the seaming tool is doing, there's a new button. So next to the calculator, there's a button that looks like an L. And if I hit that L, now I can see the way that the tablet has said, oh, this is a great way to seam this. Yeah, but you know what? I'm not a big fan. I think I'd rather have the hallway go horizontally, not vertically. I don't like having all those seams in the hallway, so why don't we rerun it this time? And so now we'll just remember the waste factor is 16.59. I'm going to hit the calculator again, but I'm going to force it to run it horizontal.
Is the additional,
I'm going to leave the 11.
Is the additional waste always a percentage? Whatever number you put in there?
It is.
Okay.
Yep. So if I wanted an extra 2% waste, I'd just put a 2. Right, so now I'm going to hit the yes. Oh my goodness, look at the waste. I went to 28.6% waste. What is this doing? All right, well, my hallway is one solid piece, but look at all, so down here at the bottom in this cut diagram, you see all the white space, all that white space is scrap, it's waste, it's leftover. All right, so now I have to make a decision. I have to be able to talk to my customer about how am I going to do this job? Because on the one hand, I could do this job with a 28% waste at $6,700, or I could do this job for $6,100 and have seams in the hallway. Well, you know what? Your customer might say, you know what, I don't want the seams in the hallway. I'm willing to pay the extra. You know, that's an extra $600 to make sure that I don't have any seams in the hallway. Maybe it's worth it to them. But this gives you the ability to do the what if while you're standing there. All right, good.
Are you
More
gonna
on that
upset
later.
your are you gonna upset your installer if you have too many seams?
Not if you pay them. All right. So
I got
here
a
we
question,
go.
Erlen.
Yeah.
On this one that we do it vertically, it seems easier to install, but we're going to charge more for the installing because he has more waste factor, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good question as well. For the tablet, does it account for any type of pattern repeat?
Yes. So let's do another option. Okay. And we're going to do a pattern this time. All right. So let's hit the plus button here and let's create a new option. I'm going to do carpet again in all 3 rooms. Well, you know what? We're going to leave the bathroom out just for fun. So I'm going to do the bedroom in the hallway, set the install information. This time I'm going to do carpet. I'm still going to pick my PG3 carpet, so that stays the same. Now, third box down says pattern type. So I can select a pattern type. So what does this mean? Well, if I look at a pattern, if I look at a sample board, the back of the sample board tells me what the pattern repeat is. So let's say the pattern repeat is 6 inches wide and it's 9 inches tall. Okay, so that's the size of the pattern. And I know the installers are going to have to shuffle the carpet one way or the other to make the patterns match up. Okay, well, this is a very simple thing. If I add 6 inches wide and 9 inches tall, somebody is really good at math. What's 6 plus 9?
15.
15. Okay, so keep that number in mind. So working from the top, large. If the combined length plus width, 6 plus 9, if the combined length plus width is greater than 24 inches, then it's considered a large pattern. A small pattern, if the combined length plus width is less than 12 inches, yeah, I know that little symbol should be the other way around. It's a typo that's here. If the length plus width is less than 12 inches, it's considered a small pattern. In our case, 6 plus 9 is 15 inches. So if the combined length plus width is somewhere between 12 and 23 inches, we call that a medium pattern. Okay, so I'm just going to select that this is a medium pattern. Then I'm going to go in. I'm going to complete my option. Okay. For the moment, don't worry about the price because I'm not going to, well, I will go ahead and take these out while I'm looking at them. Appliance move. We can get rid of the toilet move because we don't have a toilet in the bedroom after all. Good. All right. So now let's take a look. What is my waste factor? My waste factor says 30%. That's just the default. So based on the fact that I said it's a medium-sized pattern, it threw in a 30% waste factor. Okay, but now let's run the seaming diagram and see what happens. So if I hit the calculator, but now I'm going to say my horizontal repeat, my vertical repeat. Now be careful here. Every time you see 2 boxes, the first box is feet, the second box is inches. So this is 6 inches, not 6 feet. 6 inches by 9 inches, right? So it's going in that second box. I still am going to put in my 11'9" roll width. And now let's see what the seaming diagram does. All right, so this is the way it assumes that I want to seam it. And my waste factor actually went up. It went to a 35% waste. Okay, now maybe with this pattern, maybe I need to run it horizontally because of the pattern, but maybe I could run it vertically. So let's force it to run it vertically and see what it does.
What is the vertical drop? What is the vertical?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
We'll get to that later. Right now, just a repeat is 99.5% of the time you're never going to touch the drop. It's always going to be the pattern.
Got it. Perfect.
And now, for whatever reason, we ended up with a lot more waste. So look at all this waste that's around here because we decided to run it vertically. So the pattern for sure is going to create additional waste. I like the way that it did it the first time better anyway. So let's just go back and we're going to push this back to optimal. I'm at a 35.89% waste. So it's a high waste, no doubt. But sure enough, I mean, that's with a pattern carpet, you end up with a lot more waste. All right, good. So we've got some options here. You can rename your option. So if I click on the little pencil next to option 4, you can rename it. You can say, this is my pattern carpet. You know, you can rename the first one. I can say, this is my hardwood option. Okay. I can resize this and move it around, whatever I need to do. Now, once I'm done with my drawing, once I've put together 4 options here, okay, the bottom right-hand side, continue to presentation, I click on that, and I can go straight into the company story and give the customer the company story. And we will pick this up next week from this point. Now, you'll notice I'm not clicking that blue X at the bottom will just give me an abrupt termination. I'm not looking for that. I'm just continuing to swipe, 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 okay, until I can't swipe anymore. When I can't swipe anymore, then I'm going to hit the blue X to get out, and not before that. And I can hit the little next button, and then, like I said, we'll get into price and payment later. So for today, I really wanted to focus some time on how do you do the drawing and some things here. Heavy item to move versus heavy furniture move, you know, appliances and all that good stuff, seaming diagram. This is not the last time that we'll play with this. This is our first shot at this. So questions that you guys have seen either from what we just did or from the homework, how the tablet works, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I had a question. So on this bathroom diagram, I noticed you did the open wall. I noticed playing around with the tablet that the open wall does not have a selection for transition. Is it always assumed that there's just never going to be a transition on an open wall?
Really good question. So let me show you how you can force it to have a transition. Okay, because sometimes an open wall means there's no transition. Sometimes it means that there will be one, right? It's just an open wall. If I go back to the drawing, oh, by the way, this is a big no-no what I'm about to do. If you make modifications, now that I've put proposals together, if you make modifications that change something in the proposals are all going to set back to 0. So what I'm about to do, because I'm going to show, well, maybe I'll just draw a new room. Because if I open up the bathroom and change it, it'll set everything back to 0. All right, so let's do a new one. Let's create a new drawing. It doesn't even have to be, you know what, we're just going to do a square. Let's create a square drawing, 10 by 10. And we can call this a little bedroom. Good. Now let's go to the doorway. So I want to click on this wall and click on the door. So if I leave the transition turned on and I call it an open wall, it will include a transition. If I turn the transition off and then turn it as an open wall, it'll take the transition out. So the timing of the moves matters. I mean, the trim door is not going to do anything, but depending on what I have done here, so let's just try it. I have the transition on, I hit open wall, And then I go back to the floor plan. Let's do our space info for that room and move ahead. And now all I'm going to do is pick this one. I'm going to create a new option for only that one room. Doesn't matter what I pick. So because I had that transition turned on, now there is a transition that's included in that proposal. So even though I called it an open wall, it's still considered a transition piece there because I had the transition turned on when I marked it as an open wall. Okay, any other last minute questions on the tablet? I'm going to bounce out of this. So for next week, we are going to pick up right where we left off. Okay, we're going to pick up from, I've done my drawing, I've got my options built, and now it's time to do now it's time to do my company story. So for next week, I want you to spend some time working on transitions between the slides on the company story. What I mean by that is when you move from one slide to the next, if you just give if you just present the content and then slide the tablet and look at the next screen and present the content, it feels too much like a presentation. I want you to think about how do I transition between the slides smoothly so that it makes it much easier for the customer to follow. It sounds more like a conversation rather than a presentation. In the homework, in the Floor U homework, you're going to get into a ton of information about hardwood. If you thought you got technical last week, you haven't seen technical yet. There is a ton of information about hardwood. So just be prepared for that. Our next call is going to be next week, Wednesday. I'll be back at the house, so I'll have the whiteboard and we'll have some fun with that. 1 to 3 next Wednesday afternoon. And if you happen to be watching this afterwards and you're looking for the code word, there it is. Your code word is South Australia. And I'm still looking to give out bonus points for somebody that can figure out where those are coming from. I did have one person tell me, so they got it right. It was good. Was that you? Any last minute thoughts or questions before we sign off today?
Yeah, for those of us that are new owners launching, obviously we're not going to have the customers to call right away. Is there a strategy we should be getting ready to use for our first 10, 15 customers until we have that list?
Yeah, to do your reference list. I am such a big believer in the reference list that when I came through, this is a strategy. This is what I did. You decide if you like it or not. I went back to coworkers from the company that I had left, and I told them, I said, I don't want you lying for me. So somebody's going to call you, and they're going to ask you about flooring, and you're going to tell them, no, I've never done a floor for you. Okay, so I don't want anybody to lie for me. But I changed the questions at the bottom of the reference list to say things like, you know, if you were to use, is Arlen somebody that does what he says he's going to do? Is Arlen somebody that follows through? If you had a flooring project, is Arlen somebody that you would trust to call and have him come look at the job? Not necessarily commit to doing it, but you know, is this somebody that you would trust to do the job, right? And so I changed the questions at the bottom, and I told them, look, I don't want anybody lying for me. I don't want you to pretend that I did a flooring project. This isn't the point. The point is that now it becomes more of a character reference rather than a flooring project reference. And it worked beautifully until I could get enough people that I could build a reference list and start using an actual reference list. Other questions?
How do we get out of the tablet? Like the screen just close it up, or a way to cancel
Good
it?
question. All right, so let's do this together. So I'm in InspireNet. All right, so what I'm going to ask you to do is, so from here, we've done our options. You can continue to the presentation, and you can hit the little button at the bottom right that says next. Now, when you're on the screen, I'm just doing this to close it out. So I'm going to hit the button at the bottom right that says continue to proposal. Scroll all the way down and hit continue to proposal again. So this is, we'll talk about this later, but this is a worksheet where you can make some edits. And then I hit continue to proposal again. And now at the bottom of this screen, I'm going to hit the check mark that says complete appointment. So now I've gone all the way to the end and I hit complete appointment. And if you show a price to a customer, it doesn't matter how long or short the appointment was. If you show a price to the customer, you're going to hit the button demo. And if you didn't show a price to the customer, you're going to hit no demo. So let's just hit demo. We gave the price, the customer a price, and hit the check mark. And now this is closed.
Thanks.
Yep. Thank you for that, Zuri. All right. Well, guys, I will see you next week. Drew, do you want to hang on for just a second and let's see if we can figure out what's going on with being able to do drawings? Where'd Drew go? Drew already, there he is.
Yeah, I'll stick around.
Okay. Well, I'm going to stop the recording and let's see if we can figure that out.